Arsenal win the Premier League. Why did it take so long? Welcome to Mark and Pete. Well, after 22 years of waiting, Arsenal supporters can finally celebrate. This is Mark and Pete, two blokes with half an opinion. Now, here's our first thought.
Arsenal are the Gunners, and their cannonball now soars as the team battled to victory and finally settled old scores. Well, congratulations. After 22 years, the Gunners have finally celebrated the fact that they can lift the Premier League title. After many years of disappointment, three consecutive second places, and many other cup competition outages. Yes, I'm afraid that, yes, if you're a Manchester City supporter, Liverpool supporter, and many others, yes, this time Arsenal are the champions. Well, Mr. Pete, isn't it remarkable that it's taken 22 years for a club that really has had many, many years of success? And as we currently speak, while they are the Premier League title winners, they're also in the final of the European Champions League. Well, what a great achievement this is. Now, let me ask you, are you an Arsenal fan?
Well, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I am a Christian, and the Bible says, Romans chapter 12, verse 15, rejoice with them that do rejoice and weep with them that weep. So, of course, I must rejoice and cheer them on. It's obviously very important for that. I should add something else, that it's not that I'm a supporter of another football club. It's just that I'm not a supporter of any club. But I'm in a great position that when I see a a team doing well, I can rejoice with them, and especially when you got that history that they're one of the top clubs who could have won. They could get close. And then it took decades before they actually won again. So I could see that it's a great moment for them. But what I would put to you, Mark, is it might not. The euphoria might not last that long because they surely they're off to play another match and another challenge soon, and at that, with Arsenal, with its reputation for bottling it, they might just fail.
Yeah.
So, sorry to bring it
Well,
down.
that's really inspired
Well,
them,
I'm not
hasn't it,
sorry.
going forward? Maybe the team talk should be a little bit more motivational. Well, I think
You
that,
think
dare
so?
I say, their manager, Mikel Arteta, let's give him a lot of credit because it has been years of criticism, but finally they did it. It was important that they actually did it this year, in my opinion. Now, some people will say, why did it take so long? Well, here is my opinions. Now, I think that Mikel Arteta, new to management when he first took over, really had a squad which was good, but could it really compete with the resources of Liverpool and Manchester City? Maybe not. But one thing that I do think that they found a formula, which I will say, dare I say, probably isn't what is the liking of every football fan, which is that their reliance on set ball play or set piece play and really has sort of stifled the game. The amount of goals they scored from corners, penalties, free kicks, etc., may not necessarily be so good on the eye in comparison to some of the other teams that they compete against, but it was very effective. So the question is, how long can they keep those tactics going? Clearly, it worked for this season. Congratulations. I'm not sure necessarily that they'll be able to do it for next season. Now, the other thing as well, which I will say, is that they also invested in some new players. So I think that Declan Rice, albeit that he was there last season, has really come to the fore. As a captain, I think he's a great ambassador for the sport. He's clearly somebody who also works well at international level. Good luck for England as well, because obviously I think that his contribution will be significant. But now they're in a different game because they're no longer seen as you said, the bottlers or the runners up. They are the champions. Now, I wonder psychologically whether this could make a difference. Now, Mr. Pete, I know this is slightly outside of football, but surely when you're talking to your parishioners, if you think about it from, say, a philosophical point of view, a spiritual point of view, it's interesting, isn't it, that many people really perform better when they know that they've won something and it's got themselves more confidence. So maybe
Yeah.
that could be the stepping stone to greater glory.
Well, that's yes, that's true. even for Arsenal, that could be true. But for people, especially men are different to women. Shock news here. You heard it first on the Mark and Pete show.
Yes.
And men do tend to behave differently to women. Women love to have emotional support, their friends around them. Men like to joke and take, to use a colloquial phrase, take the piss out of their friends. What really buoys them up is if together their team has won. That really buoys them up. And I would say, however, that even though the mood can be brought down by your team losing, the fact that you have a whole group of people with you, your friends who support the same team, who are suffering the same emotion, that also gives you that the feeling of camaraderie, and as though it's not as good as winning, it still gives you that grounding so that you can cope with life's vicissitudes. But I believe it has been noted that uh, when your team has won, man, really, it really does affect them emotionally, psychologically. They're buoyed up and they're able to achieve more. So when, say, the England team is playing and they win, that can have an effect on the whole country.
Yes, well, it's quite remarkable, isn't it? I was going to
Save
ask
the
why,
economy by
why do
winning.
you think, why do you think that that men in particular tend to sort of, sort of express themselves? Is it when it comes to football? Is it just simply that tribal group
Mm.
feeling, or is there something else about the sport, or something where they've just found a way of showing emotion? They don't normally
Yes,
do that.
yes. Well, I think that men are emotional creatures, but they behave in different ways to women. In fact, directionally they do. So women will show their emotion to each other or to directly to other people, whereas for men it's sort of being in lockstep, arm to arm, showing your emotion out against an enemy. And fans of evolution will see that has been very useful for war, for protecting the tribe, for defense, and also for hunting. And you could see that it is developed that way. For those of our listeners, of which there are many, who think, well, no, evolution's so much phooey, we can say the same thing about that's how men are designed. But the concept is still the same, that uh, there's a certain basic role of men in society which which made them have deal with emotions in a certain way, or rather, their emotions function in a certain way. Let's put it positively, and it's to do with war and hunting. It's to do with outward-facing protection of the women within their tribe or country, and you don't want to have to wait for there to be a big war for that to be used, for that emotion, for that togetherness and emotion pointing outwards to be in effect. So sport such as football is a great thing for men to be involved in, because then, rather than violence, it's sport that takes those emotional feelings and gets them directed and focused. And as you say, this can buoy up people, but I believe it makes for a more cohesive, a safer, a better society. So even though it does, I don't think it has to be football, is what I'm saying. I think it's the fact
Yes.
that it's a sport.
Well, look, I mean, congratulations to Arsenal. They've done a great job. My guidance here is you might want to change your tactics. Your Gunners certainly soared this time, but maybe with a little bit more creativity, make sure you don't shoot yourself in the foot next time.